Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this is one I've wanted to do for a long time. It's with Momma Miller, Lisa Miller from Miller Smokehouse in Belton, Texas. She handles the baked goods and the bakery, which is a huge facet of their business. They have the barbecue side, and that might be something that you're familiar with. And they've added coffee. They've added high-end coffee, like sourcing from, they're doing that side. And then they have the bake side, and they've added breakfast, so the bake component comes into that with biscuits and tortillas and cinnamon rolls. Everything's scratch made, and those things are available in the morning. And then after 10:55 at 11 o'clock, they switched to lunch. But I wanted to find out her path was supporting Miller's in their early days, and I wanted to know what she thought of as they transitioned to Miller's Smokehouse and then got bigger and bigger. And I know that she worked diligently on the sides in the early days, and that's how a lot of the sides came about, and they're all family recipes. And then to delve into the desserts, because dessert is a huge part of my life as well as the barbecue life. It's a great compliment, and I want to know what they carry on a daily basis, as well as the specials and how you could order pies and how they have individual pies for people. And I wanted to find out her influence from her grandmother Greer, who I had heard about, and that's just wonderful. And it's nice that she's using a lot of her recipes. I know you're gonna love this. She is so sweet and so nice, and there's a pun, but she's a wonderful person, and she's got a great sense of humor. And I think at the end you'll know more about what Miller's has to offer and what Miller's is all about, which is about family, and it's about putting your head down and just doing things and trying to figure out things on the way, but being smart about it. But that's they're a tenacious group of people, and it's a wonderful interview. So I can't thank Mom Miller enough for taking the time. Oh, and I had requested from her to find out what her favorite desserts are right now. It's a Miller Sopapillo cheesecake, as well as the creme brulee. And then her go-to barbecue items are, and I'm reading this right now, a chicken salad with potato salad, or a pulled pork sandwich with mac and cheese and broccoli salad. So those are her favorite things on the menu. So Belton is not too far away from Austin, so be sure you do visit Miller Smokehouse. They have a beautiful location, open 7 days a week. They have breakfast, they have lunch. They're open later Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you enjoy these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so it pop up in your feed. I'm doing about 2 or 3 of these per week. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. At the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. Well, good morning, Mama Miller. How are you doing today?
We're good. Everything's good.
You guys are open 7 days a week, right?
We are.
Yeah. So are you baking 7 days a week?
We do. We have a crew going 7 days a week. I'm off 2 days a week, and I have another little girl that's a bakery manager. So she's working the days I'm off, and I'm working the days she's off.
That makes sense, and you have no choice to do that.
Right.
Where did you grow up in Texas yourself?
I've been here since I was 8.
Okay.
I was born in Panama. My dad was military, so I was born in Panama. Lived in South Carolina and Kansas before settling here. So my Grandma Greer that you've heard me talk about was from North Carolina. So I think I've kind of got that North Carolina, Texas.
That's a
little bit of a blend.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been here since I was little. Grew up in Salado. Just a little bit south or north. That's south.
Yeah.
Where am I?
You're talking to a guy in Los Angeles. Okay, so it's a small town outside of.
Small town. Like I graduated with 37 kids. So little bitty town at the time. It's grown a lot since I've graduated. That's been a few years. So,
I graduated with 1,300 kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
No, I would have been lost completely.
Yeah, well, I was lost myself. I think I found myself a lot better outside of high school. But so essentially you've grown up in Texas.
Yes.
And what was your career path? What did you want to do? Or were you baking as a kid and that you thought maybe?
I had no clue. Honest to goodnessly, I was one of those kids kind of grew up in a dysfunctional household. So my goal was just to get out of the house. I didn't really have strong career goals. At one time, all the girls my age, whenever they were going to college, wanted to be interior designers or fashion designers. So I went one semester to college and ended up on academic probation.
Which a lot of people do. You're not the only one.
So I was just kind of a little lost soul at that point, honestly. Didn't have a lot of talents that stood out or anything. And then I met Dirk. We got married really young. Okay. So probably good that I met him. I may have ended up in jail or homeless. I don't know. So, but I just kind of, didn't really have strong career aspirations.
Yeah. Did Dirk have the taxidermy business when you met him, or was that a family?
When we met, he his mom and dad had him enrolled in college, and then here I came along and blew all of that. So I did. He decided that to go to technical school in Waco. There was TSTI, and so he became a bricklayer. Oh. And he started on that. He's always kind of been good with his hands. He did like to cook and all of that, but just decided to be a bricklayer. At that time, you could go and get trained, and he worked on some big crews. And then he and his dad settled into fireplace and bricklaying.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And then it started, the bottom kind of fell out around the 2007, 2008. And he decided that it was time to make another career choice, and then started the taxidermy. And Dusty encouraged him. Dusty wanted to help him start cooking. It's like, how to make sausage. Yeah. You kind of know how to do that. So why don't we do the barbecue on the side kind of thing?
But the deer processing business was doing pretty well, right, at the time?
Yeah, he did good in it. And then Dylan kind of took that over. And it was not that easy for a young man to be that isolated. It's kind of a business where you're isolated a lot.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And, during the holidays and things, it was kind of, hard. So then Dylan came aboard here. So because it's a seasonal business too, right? Yes, it's seasonal. So during the holidays, you just have no life. The holiday, it's all that's hunting season. So now Dylan works here as well.
Okay, so is that business, the deer processing business, do you guys still have that at all? Is that something you guys still?
We let that go. When Dylan started working here, we kind of let that go and decided everybody was going to focus on the barbecue.
Okay, and then you also have a daughter too, right?
Yes, and she's living in Dallas now.
Okay.
She worked in the deer processing, and she worked here from the time she was little, and kind of decided she wanted to do her own thing. Yeah. She's out there. Like I said, she just moved to Dallas like a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Well, or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, just fresh. She was in Austin. She was working at Cosmic. So she likes the restaurant industry and the food service industry. Ideally, she'd like to do like event planning. But of course, there's COVID about the time she wanted to venture out and do that. And so that didn't happen.
So Cosmic by Leroy and Lewis, then she was
she was there. So she worked for Cosmic, and then she met a fella, and now she's in Dallas. But she enjoyed her time at Cosmic and learned a lot and grew a lot, because she's worked with mom, dad, and 2 brothers, and then Amadeo, who's like another brother. So she kind of spread her wings a little bit, and I sure do miss her, but I'm glad that she's doing what she wants.
And that's important. That's at least it's an important chapter in your life to do that. And then who knows what the future holds. But then I had read something, or maybe seen something. Maybe I read something that when you guys were starting Miller's, that you were going to open up a bakery. Was that something in the back of your mind, or was that going to be a separate thing at one point?
Wanted to. When we first started, we lived off my paycheck. Because, when you start a new business, you're starting from nothing. So I worked at a property management company and then would come and bake and work on the weekends or bake a little dessert at night. So, we talked about it one time, having a separate little bakery. We opened a party room that was next door to the original Miller's location. So we could hold like 75 people. So I kind of ran that with some girls, and we had a little party room and had fun doing it. Eventually, we needed the room for seating at Miller's, and it was a mess, but we would run plates literally across the alley and use what was the party room for extra seating. And then we would bake. My kitchen was over there, our bakery. So we would carry all our little desserts, and we would trip and fall and drop desserts. And one morning I was standing out with the whole tray of buttermilk pie, and the fireman went by and honked at me because, they knew who it was. And I threw pie all over the alley. They felt so bad, they came back to say they were sorry. And I let them take home all the pie that I threw on the ground. So, I mean, it's stuff that we've done, like all the little pits were in the alleyway. We were running back.
I was going to ask, was that when the pits were in the alleyway? Okay.
Yes. Yes. I mean, all of it was just, you can look back and it's like, how in the world did we do it? And that building was 1,600 square feet. And when we moved, just like, we don't know how we fed people in there because it was just a long, narrow space. So you were, to carry plates or have a line in there. It was very interesting, but it was fun.
It seems like that the way that you guys work is you just do it. You don't question things. You just figure we can do this. We can make it happen.
Yeah. And I'm really like, I'm the nervous one. I'm real high strung. So I'm always like, everybody's like, calm down. So I'm like, if there's a line or there was anything, I've always been right in the middle of everything. And now they tell me just, I have to kind of mind my own business. I've got enough to do in the bakery, but where we bake, you've been in here, haven't you? You've
Not
been
in the new location, no.
Okay, well, we bake, it's like a fishbowl. It's right behind the main register. So we're back there, slinging food around and baking it. Everybody, and the customers, I think, enjoy it because they're like, okay, what are y'all making? Mm-hmm. So they know, they see us making tortillas and our buns and all of our desserts. And
people love seeing that aspect because a lot of times you don't get to see that at a bakery. There's a bakery at my house that makes amazing things, but you're not even allowed back there. They have secret recipes and they have things. So
we're an open book.
It seems like it. But I think when I talked to Dusty, it was 3 years ago, he had said that he wanted you to be out front because you were the smiling face that was there and that they were all like stressed in the back. So it's funny how you say that you're it's like it's all perception, I guess. Since
we've grown so much, it's not that the bakery itself is so stressful, is that I can't mind my own business. I'm out, wanting to be sure everything's going all right out here instead of minding my business, because we've got people that take care of the front wonderfully. They don't need me out here to keep things in line. They're doing a great job.
But when you guys in the beginning, would you have ever thought that you would have grown to such a large scale with this many people? And
no, had no clue. Like I said, if you read the story and it's like everything we did, it probably shouldn't have worked. We started out with the crock pot.
Which is just boiling sausage in the front of a taxidermy.
And the desserts have evolved. Like I've learned so much because like we used to use cake mixes when we first started, and we didn't know how to make our own crust. So now everything we do is from scratch.
And are a lot of those recipes from because I watched that video a few days ago, then I watched it again last night of the pie that you made, and you talked about your grandma Greer. Can you talk a little bit about her and about those recipes?
Yes. My grandma was the Southern Presbyterian, North Carolina, lived in the same home her whole married life, from the time. And she talked a lot about, sorry, I nearly yanked my own earplugs out. They would carry desserts to people. She always had stuff on hand to make a pound cake or a pie or, so her love language was food. Her pound cake I make from time to time, and it's just a regular old butter pound cake.
There's something special about a pancake.
Well, just simple. Grandma's recipes were simple, always had butter, no margarine in her kitchen or mine.
As it should be.
As it should be. Yeah. Yes. So she taught me how to make some pies, sweet potato pie. She used to always try to get me to try sweet potato pie. And now that I'll make it occasionally here. So just good deep South recipes,
But when she would come for the holidays, you've intimated that she would just be cooking the entire time.
She did everything. And, she passed away in 2005. So when she came, I was my like I said, my family was a mess. Yeah. But she came faithfully every year and cooked. She cooked turkeys and ham and biscuit and tried to teach me how to make biscuits back then. And she's like, girl, yours are a little scruffy. She would top them with something, but she could do things without recipes and just, she just had that talent, and always had something cooking.
Sounds like my grandmother too. My grandmother was just
amazing. Just throw stuff together, no measuring. But her pound cake recipe I have is written on the back of an envelope because she came and taught me how to make it, and just literally from memory said, okay, this is what you do. So that's the pound cake recipe is still written like that. I don't want to change it. And I have, like I've shared before, she made the best like cheese balls, at holidays. Like my boys would and Dirk would die to have, her cheese balls. And she would cook a ham and just put them in homemade biscuits, just, that's still my favorite kind of food, is just good. Like now that we have our breakfast, we have, here at Miller's, we have the biscuits and the bacon and, but there's a lot of things she made. Yeah. That I still can't make like she could, and I would give anything to go back, when she was still here. I wish I could tell her how much I appreciated her time, because she had friends, she had a house, she had a church, she had her life there, but she came for us, and
I think she knows, don't you think?
Yeah. It's like you take things for granted when you're younger, and now it's like, dang, she got on a plane and she would travel. Back then things weren't so strict. She'd bring a pound cake on the plane, or she'd bring some kind of little desserts, so, but she was the kind, like, as she got older and couldn't travel, the last time she traveled, she thought she'd drive and she had a wreck. And it didn't hurt her, but it scared her. So she kind of quit. I think flying got hard on her. So I started going there after I had Sam, who's, like at the time I was taking her when Sam was 1. So we'd get on an airplane and go see her, and really good memories of being in her house.
What city in North Carolina?
Carthage. It was kind of like a little Mayberry, kind of like, her best friend was named Maxine. Okay. And it took her and Maxine to drive that Crown Victoria, so Maxine would look to the right, Grandma would look to the left, and here Sam and I were in the back seat of that big old boat. But there were like people there that just lived there their whole lives. We'd see a little man shuffling down the street and they knew who he was, so just
something special about that.
Yeah, and she worked at the courthouse when she was younger. She was the register of deeds. So
really?
she lived her whole life there,
That's really sweet, though. There's something special, and
content. It's like that generation, and my mother-in-law's the same way. Like, they would get a car and keep it, and they would get a home and keep it. It wasn't like she was content with her life and her home. Our generation, we're so
we
much
just
more
want,
and she just, both my mother-in-law, and she's got dementia now, but it's like both of those ladies are the ladies that I idolize and would like to emulate. And the contentment that they both had, it's hard to have that. So Grandma just did her own thing. She was the one in her friend group that kept her driver's license the longest. So
my grandmother too.
She took people to get their hair done and all of that. So, but
I used to live close to my grandmother back when she was alive, and we'd have dinner once a month. And but just the two of us, and I'd have to schedule 3 months ahead because she had bridge, she had church, she had all these things, all these groups of friends, and that keeps you alive.
That does, because my grandma did that. She worked in her yard, she cared for her friends, she the pastor at her church, she did stuff with his kids, so she was very active.
Wow. So but you said she didn't really write down the recipes, but I saw when you did that video and I'll put a link to that video below, the pie recipe, she wrote that one down. You took some of her recipes.
Yes, I have some of her recipes that are written in her beautiful little cursive handwriting. Nice. So that was probably the county fair pie. That was a pie. And then I have a recipe for her sweet potato pie. And like I said, if I've posted it before and I can share it back with you. She made a cheese ball at the holidays that was,
I would love to see this.
You could just eat the whole thing, so she was just a good cook.
Well, so let's talk about the menu so people know what you guys always have. What are there for your point of view? Is that Amadeo?
It's Amadeo talking. Yeah.
That's funny.
He's like, sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. That's funny. People will know that it's and it looks like a real restaurant. It's not. It's people will understand. So are there items that are always staple, that are always on the menu? That are always the case?
We always have our banana pudding. Okay. And we always have our sopapilla cheesecake. We keep I'm trying to look over there and see, we have our chocolate cream pie that we don't ever, change. Yeah. So like right now we've brought back our pecan pie, and then pretty soon we'll be bringing back pumpkin and buttermilk for the holidays. So we try like during the summer to kind of rotate and have some light citrus flavors. And I get in trouble sometimes because people come in and they want a certain flavor, but it's like, I can't have all of them and keep my sanity. And, it's like if you go to, I tell them, if you go to grandma's house, she doesn't have the same dessert every time you go to dinner.
That's a good way to say it.
We try to rotate it with keeping a couple of our favorites that they know they can get every time.
And you sell them by this, go ahead, what was that?
We sell our whole pies. And then like the banana pudding, if you wanted it for a party, you can order it ahead.
Okay.
So we do that through catering.
That's through catering. And were you gonna say Texas sheet cake? Is that
the Texas monthly? Because of COVID and everything, we did all that here. So we did hurricane cake and pumpkin cheesecake, and then we made some special rolls. So we had that this last week. That was fun.
Yeah, those look. So then, do you also do cookies and?
Yes, chocolate chip and sugar all the time. And then during this time of year, we'll do a pumpkin cookie with cream cheese icing. So we didn't do it this last week because we did all the specials for Texas Monthly, but we did the pumpkin cheesecake and we made our own ginger snaps and made the crust for that. And they did a caramel whipped cream to top that off. So it was good. And then the hurricane cake is something we started out with, was our first cake when we had our location down the street.
And what is that?
It's like a upside down German chocolate cake with cheesecake filling. We used to could use cake mix, and so we can't do that anymore. So we made a homemade German chocolate cake. So you just layer your pan with butter and coconut and pecans, and then make a homemade German chocolate cake, and then layer in some cheesecake filling. It's ugly to look at, but it's delicious.
No, it's a lot of times there's desserts that don't look quite the way they do.
It's just kind of a big mess, but it's full of butter and pecans and coconut and cream cheese. So.
But you said something like you cut your pie into 6 slices as opposed to 8. Is that something you do or something?
We used to do, yes. When people come in and they want a slice of pie, we do individual pies. We do little 5-inch pie crust, and we used to cut everything. And we spent so much time cutting pies, it's like we might as well make individual pies. Plus, if you cut them wrong, we were losing them. We drop them, and there was all kinds of ways to waste. So. Yeah, now you get a little individual pie if you want to slice. And then our whole pies we sell, but like we keep them at a pretty good price for people if they're having holidays. And like we sell a lot at Thanksgiving.
And those would be order ahead, right, through catering?
Yes, and we keep some grab and go all the time in the case, but not, where they stay fresh. But we do some in the case, and then you can always order them.
If you're listening to this before Thanksgiving, how far in advance what would you recommend for?
We'll start taking orders in the next week. We already have some people that are ordered, like businesses that give them to their clients. So we've already got a couple, 200-300 that are ordered. And then during the holidays, we'll take pre-orders, and Dusty has a cap that he makes us get to. So we take so many orders, and then that's just physically and mentally.
Yeah, mentally. Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, we all cry usually every Thanksgiving. We eat lots of Thai food from our restaurant next door, and we do pretty good. Last year we did 2 crews. So we were able to do a morning crew. The old ladies, I've got some friends that work with me that are my age. So we'll do the early crew, and then the younger girls will come in a little bit later and finish up. It's kind of how we worked it last year.
And that was last year during COVID time. So imagine like when it's real life.
It's been so weird. COVID I remember Dirk and I were celebrating our 35th anniversary and went out of town.
Oh, congratulations.
And it was early in March. So right as we were traveling is when things started shutting down.
All
and
those.
We were scared. We were in California. And we were scared we weren't going to be able to get back home. And just in the airport, it was already kind of isolated. And some people were wearing masks and some people weren't. And, then we came home and this area, the restaurants were shut down to 25% at one point. And it's like you can't open the doors at 25%,
It doesn't make sense.
So we converted to a curbside, but we sold bread by the loaf. We got extra eggs in. We sold, whatever we had to keep everybody working, so we didn't have to do any layoffs or, we were fortunate in this area in Belton, our customers still came.
And it's it sounds like a community that would gather around.
Yes.
Restaurants.
Yeah, they supported local. And like I said, we tried to get things here that weren't on the shelf in the grocery store that people couldn't get. So we our hamburger buns we make here, they're potato buns. So we sold, you couldn't get bread in the store for a while. So we were selling loaves and buns and eggs and milk. People couldn't get milk, so they could come through and drive through and get those things on top of to-go orders.
Yeah, and the meats and stuff like that that's nice to.
Yeah,
a few
we did like
did that,
deli meats and like sausage and things where, again, people were having a hard time finding them in the stores. So
what a strange time. What a weird time.
It was. You just had to pivot and do what you could to survive.
And what's funny too, that word pivot, no one ever used that word pivot until
yeah, it's like, okay, how are we going to do this? And Dusty was the visionary. Like, he kind of knew even before things shut down, we had a plan. So, and we just all followed, but that was a time that was so scary because when it first came out, we all,
we didn't know if it was going to end the economy. We didn't know.
We didn't know. Yeah. I mean, like all that you've worked for and you've put years into could be gone.
And your big new location and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And at that time, we bought the building that's next door to us, and we were going to start the coffee shop there.
That's right. I remember that.
So that kind of changed. And now within Miller's, we just fitted out the kitchen where we do breakfast here. So we start and do breakfast and have a quick turnaround, and then we start lunch. So where we used to get here and have to have our dessert cooler done by 11, we have to have, like, we do our biscuits, we do tortillas. So the breakfast thing, cinnamon rolls, we have to have all that done. So we get here at 4:30 to start our day most days, if not earlier, depending on. So we have to get everything done and get breakfast done, and then we start on desserts.
So breakfast ends at like 10:55 or something.
10:55, and then lunch starts at 11. So some days that turnaround gets a little stressful for them in the kitchen.
It's good you have that 5-minute window. Is really
It's not that easy on them in there because it's like if you have catering or things that they have to cut before lunch actually starts, they have 3 windows going. But I'm not part of that. I just keep biscuits and cinnamon rolls going and tortillas in the morning.
So you have tortillas, cinnamon rolls, biscuits. Are those are the staples for the breakfast stuff that you guys do?
Yes.
And toast.
Yes.
You do.
And we do the toast. We do white loaves for the avocado toast. So it's big old hunks of white bread, and they do a good job in the kitchen. That I think the avocado toast has been one of the best sellers for breakfast.
Isn't that interesting? How that would you think? Yeah, it's so and good.
I didn't know how to make bread or anything. I mean, like, yeast terrified me before we did this, but Dusty has had a baker that comes in and he's trained us on how to make the cinnamon rolls and the bread, and tortillas. Dusty and I probably had our biggest fight of our whole life over tortillas because it's like we start with like, I didn't know how to make tortillas, and so
most people don't.
Yeah, I read and we tried, and the first recipe just wasn't good. It wasn't what we wanted. So Dusty, during the week of Thanksgiving, when we had 900 pies to do, we had to get our tortillas right too. And it was important, but I was short-circuiting over here on pies. So during that week is when Dusty came up with the recipe, changed the flours. He did his baker's percentages, and we started using a different flour. And that's what we use now, but it was a little stressful. So, but we've got them, I feel like we've got them right now. He'd like the Sonoran style tortilla. So it's a little different, of course. But Dusty, he wants things to be right, and he wants them to be good. And
that's
so do I.
That's the CPA background,
yes.
like mind, right? Or something.
Mind, the numbers and the baker's percentages and everything. So, but it was like the timing. My little brain can only handle so much. And he's like, nope. So he's in the kitchen and we're mixing tortillas and I'm fighting with him. But he has faith and pushes me to be better, where I've always kind of put this little cap, and he makes me stretch and grow and brings people in to train, gets me the books and cookbooks and research, and helps me, where I think I probably can't do it. I end up doing it. And it's ugly in the process.
That's not, but that's neat too. That it's like your son, what a relationship.
Yeah.
Like years from now, looking back at this is such a sweet, wonderful, special.
Yeah. In the moment, I know I drive him crazy, and, but it's like, I that fear holds me back, where he's like, nope, you're going to do it. And like I said, I didn't think we used to start when we did our buns. If we had a batch of 50 to do, we were terrified. And now we have par levels that are 650 at a time. But he's, like I said, he's got us the training, he's got us the equipment, because we started rolling all those silly buns by hand. We had to cut them and roll them by hand. And now we have a piece of equipment that divides them and rounds them, and we slap them on a cookie sheet.
So all the buns for all the sandwiches are everything's fresh made, right? That's amazing.
Yes. So, and that was the vision from the beginning. And it's, you know, when he started talking about us making buns, I'm like, no, can't do it. You know, that's always
silly.
no, can't do it. And he's like, yes, you can. And then, like I said, he gets the training, he gets the equipment. And then like Dylan, you know, he and Amadeo are bun whisperers too. It's like they both got involved looking at Amadeo, but they both got involved when we had to start doing buns. They were both there. And like Amadeo's been right there with us and learned how to roll them. And we used to just have to call everybody in and we'd get the buns made. And, you know,
there's a lot of
team effort.
A lot of moving parts there. That's why I wanted to talk, because I don't think people realize how many things you guys do and make from scratch. And it's not just like a lot of barbecue spots have maybe, you know, 15 items total, like with sides, and just you have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and all of the side recipes, we started in the bakery. We were responsible for doing the potato salad and the slaw and the broccoli salad. That's all recipes that we came up with in the bakery. And it was really hard to let it go. Now, I mean, like we couldn't, but when we first started doing the broccoli salad, we didn't even have a robo-coop. Like we were chopping broccoli by hand. So, but we came up with that recipe and we still use it. And then the potato salad, but now we have people that do all of that in the back and do a good job. But, you know, I didn't want to let go of all that, but we did. Wow. So, and
we've got a lot to do though.
Yeah, I just have to mind my own biscuits, and it's hard for me.
Mind your own biscuits. That's
mind my own biscuits, and then I've gotten better. But Amadeo knows how to get me back in my zone.
Can you get biscuits throughout the day or just in the morning?
Just in the morning normally. Okay. Sometimes there'll be a few left around lunch. A lot of days we have to make 2 batches. We'll make a morning batch, and then for the second breakfast run, we'll make fresh. We make cornbread, and so that's our bread. If you want an upgrade on bread for your lunch, we have homemade cornbread.
Oh, well, you didn't mention that. Cornbread is fantastic. It's important. Right.
Yeah. So that's a recipe we started when we were down the street.
Okay.
It's a real sweet cornbread, and it's like we put different things in it. So that is our little secret recipe. Okay. So it's a real sweet cornbread. Yep. Only a few people know that. So
does Amadeo know
every day? Yeah.
Okay.
He knows all the
he's
stuff.
family. He's family.
Yeah, he is. And he puts up with me pretty good. So we're always trying to get better.
Sounds like you guys, that's a smart thing. You guys aren't opposed to other point of views and growing. It seems like
it used to bother me, and now I'm like, please bring them in. You know, if you let your ego get in the way, you're going to have a hard time. So when we bring people in and we're learning, I love it. And like Dylan, we've been learning how to make. Dusty with the coffee shop wants to grow a bakery and make some more advanced pastries. So we're learning how to make Queen Amman. We're learning how to make some Danish. And the first couple of times I rolled out Queen Amman, I was in tears because it's hard. We don't have the laminator yet. So we're doing it by hand. So we're just learning the dough, learning the techniques. And I'm smashing my butter and, you know, standing up on a bucket so I can have the strength I need to roll it out because I'm so short. So I'm literally standing on a dish rack trying to roll out. We're open and I don't even care. So it's ugly, but we're going to get it.
So that's something that people can look forward to too, is additional.
Always new. Yeah.
You guys are crazy in the best way.
Well, like I said, I want to be good. Like if we get a complaint or someone doesn't like a dessert, it just hurts my soul. You know, it's like everything I want to be just right. And sometimes I drive myself crazy, you know, because everybody's not going to like everything that you do, and usually they'll find me if it's, you know, something's wrong. I've been back there doing stuff and I've gotten, Amadeo tries to save me, but I had one little man get a hold of me, but good one day.
So was he upset that it wasn't like his mama's recipe or something? Or?
You know, it was when we first started breakfast. You know, he just thought the sandwiches were overpriced. And it's like, you know, we're grinding our meat, we're making our bread, we're making our sauce. And he brought out the worst in me. He came and got a hold of me and it was ugly.
Yeah.
Amadeo tried real hard, but it's like it's personal. Like, even though it's a business, you've got to run it like a business. But when stuff like that happens, it's my family. It's personal.
Yeah,
you know, so I've had a hard time. Oh, because like I said, I never had real big career goals. And it's like, this just worked out, you know, that I was able to do this. And when we first started, like I said, I worked And then we made Texas Monthly. And then you know what that does with the
Yeah,
first
exactly.
time a little barbecue place, it completely changes, you know. And then so I got to quit my jobby job and I started working full-time here after Texas Monthly. So it's like,
which was what, 2014, 2015, around
yeah.
there? Yeah, okay,
yeah. And then so like I've been doing this full-time since then. So yeah, you put a lot into it.
Yeah, that's 8+ years of heart and soul and a lot of mistakes and learning.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, the stuff that I've had to throw away and messed up, and you know, like learning how to use the bigger mixers, and you know, you come from using your little hand mixer, and
the kind of like in a bowl, and
yeah, and like we got the first time I had a big old Hobart, it was an older mixer and didn't have a guard, and I stuck my arm in it, and it rolled over my arm. But I had the whisk attachment in, thank goodness, or I would have broke my arm.
Yeah, you would have.
You know, because I'd been told, don't stick your arm in there. And I'm like, I'm just going to stick my spatula down in there, and it grabbed it. So, and I mean, like I said, we work right behind the register. And one day I turned my mixer up on 3 accidentally, and it just put cinnamon roll dough, and I splattered egg and dough all over my face. And it's like one of our customers came up and said, let me just take your picture, you know, because I was a mess right there in front of everybody. So it's kind of like Lucille Ball, you know.
No, but it seems like you have
always.
Always. But
I can laugh at myself. You know,
that's
I drop
important.
stuff. Yeah, we mess stuff up. It's like we just keep trying, you know.
You said a really interesting thing in your video too. How, and I don't know if a lot of people do this, is to read the entire recipe before you make something.
Yeah,
I don't think I do. I always.
Well, in the science behind cooking, I am still learning so much about, you know, recipes and the science. Like we were so stressed this last week and we made so many extra things, you know, for Texas Monthly.
Yeah.
And I was not concentrating, and I put way too much baking soda in 4 cakes. It's a bad thing. I mean, it just spit cake batter all over the stove, and you know, I had to stop, clean it up with the girls to help me. We cleaned it up and I made cake again. But you have to kind of stay focused and know, like I said, the science behind cooking is, I'm still learning so much. It's like, I'm doing this. What am I doing wrong?
But you're putting out a lot of products and people are loving it. So you're not making like all these, but there are probably tweaks, like you said, little tweaks.
Yeah. I always want to get better, want to learn more and more.
And do you call it, would you call what you're doing Miller's Bake Shop, or is that
we just call it Miller's Bakery? I don't know. It's not like bakery, we really don't stand alone, and I'm not a trained pastry chef, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, we're in training. I said, I've had no formal education at all, and at this stage of my life, probably won't. You know, like I said, Dusty brings in people, and so yeah, you know, we'll kind of see where it goes. It's just more to support the barbecue right now.
No, but it's a great balance.
Well, with the coffee and the baked goods and the barbecue, and Amadeo's really gotten into he's roasting all the beans. So, I mean, even our coffee, you know, we source the beans, roast the beans, and, you know, have trained baristas that present the coffee where, you know, it's good coffee.
Yeah, maybe I need to do a part 2. I mean, with Amadeo.
Yes.
Just about the coffee someday. Yeah, Amadeo, if he's listening. But I'll write him separately. But I think because these are little facets that people don't maybe know about what you guys do. Because that's a very serious program you guys have going.
Yeah. Like I said, if Dusty gets into it, it's extreme.
So
like I said, I'm very
the bed and breakfast is coming next.
I do want to do that. I really do.
Really?
Did you know that?
No, I was just guessing. I love that. I love the idea.
I knew that. No, I want to do a bed and breakfast. I think in coordination with Miller's.
That's wild.
I'm psychic.
I'm like, did you know that?
No,
that would be my dream, is to open in downtown Belton. I want to find a space here, and I would love to do some bed and breakfast, Airbnb. But I mean, to be able to, you know,
I love that idea.
Have when people check in, have cookies and a coffee, and just to take, you know, into that would be a dream for me. Okay. I would love to do that.
I'll project. I'll pray.
You can be the first guest when we do it. Okay.
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That sounds great. No, that's it. I just feel like what you guys are moving towards more bigger goals too. So that's what, maybe that's why it popped in my head.
Yeah. It's really weird because
that's bizarre.
I've talked about it a lot. It's like, he's like, do you really want to do it? I'm like, yeah, I really want to do that.
Well, I would like to be an honorary Miller someday. So that's
yes,
my dream. That's my
yes,
dream.
Come on.
It does. You don't get it until you meet the people and see how great everyone is.
And barbecue has I had no clue when we got in it, the camaraderie within, barbecue. And the first Texas Monthly, the festival that we went to, we were absolutely terrified, because it's like, here we are, and there were people that had been on the list, for years and were established and, well-oiled machines. And we're like, do we bring a tablecloth? I mean, what do we do?
That's so funny.
So, and just meeting people and, going and enjoying other people's food. I love to go to other barbecue places and eat their food. And of course, love to have everybody's desserts. I want to try everything everywhere I go. I don't go out to eat without getting dessert ever.
No, neither do I anymore. Yeah. No, it's important. No. Even if you can't fit it in, you just try it at least 3
there's
bites.
A dessert stomach. It's a separate stomach. So
I like that too. Well, thank you, Momma Miller, for taking the time. And I really wanted to learn your story and learn your background and highlight.
Kind of just old hippie that likes to cook.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, I hope you guys have a good week. I'm sure it's going to be maybe a tick busier now because of
when the list first comes out, people do, barbecue crawls. I didn't know about any of this. And, when people just get out and go just for fun, as groups, as families,
And when people actually get the physical magazine, I think it'll be different because there are people that probably don't know. Like they're not the crazies all know now.
Well, all the barbecue people, like you're like 801, you're looking at Daniel Bond's, Instagram or list to see,
It's different. Yeah, it'll be.
But it definitely helps business. Like I said, we had no clue. And I remember when we made it the first time, Dirk and Dusty were so emotional, just cried, and then it was like, you better get ready. After you celebrate, it's gonna
you try to put your head down. Yeah.
You just better put your head down and go. And we have had so many times where, like the business will kind of get away from you a little bit. And you have to, catch up, so.
Definitely. Well, I think you guys are at least are prepared now. Like you're more prepared than a lot of. There's a few people that probably are really nervous right now.
It's going to rock their world when all those people come in, and it's a wonderful thing, But you just look at each other and you're like, oh my gosh, and like even like the desserts. If I used to make one little pie and it sold, I was happy. So the desserts have it changed the desserts and everything. Yeah, it's grown a lot. So well, it was nice to do the interview with you. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you and I appreciate you guys, and say hi to all the kids and the.
I will. You might hear. I'm gonna turn it like you can see. Like, can you see? You see the counters?
Oh yeah.
You see the little girls back there working. You see the ovens.
I can't raise it up just a bit. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
It's literally a fishbowl with ovens in it.
Yeah, you guys are right there.
We are.
Well, have a great day. Have a great rest of your day.